Are you tired, and not just end-of-the-day tired, but a deep, bone-weary fatigue that sleep doesn't seem to fix? Do you experience strange sensations, like pins and needles in your hands or feet, and just brush it off as bad circulation? Do you walk into a room and completely forget why you're there, fearing it's a senior moment that's happening far too often? What if I told you these symptoms aren't the inevitable price of getting older? What if they are silent signals from your body, warning you about a critical deficiency? A deficiency that, left unchecked, can masquerade as serious neurological diseases, from neuropathy to dementia. This is the story of vitamin B12, and it's known in medical circles as the Great Masquerader. It's a frighteningly common deficiency. Research from Tufts University suggests that as many as 1 in 5 adults over the age of 60 are deficient in vitamin B12. But here's the more alarming statistic: nearly 40% are in a subclinical or low normal range. This is a gray area where your standard blood test might come back looking fine, but you are already experiencing neurological symptoms. Your body is already sending silent signals, and the damage may have already begun. Welcome to our deep dive. This isn't just another top 5 list. This is a 4,000-word analysis where we will dissect precisely why this happens, how it fools both patients and doctors, and expose the 5 most overlooked signs. Most importantly, I will provide a clear, science-backed roadmap on exactly how to fix it. Because understanding this one vitamin could be the difference between a future of cognitive decline and fatigue and one of vibrant energy and clarity. So, what is this master vitamin? When we say vitamin B12, we're talking about a group of compounds, scientifically known as cobalamin. You can think of it as the spark of life at a cellular level. It's a water-soluble vitamin that your body cannot produce on its own. You must get it from your food or supplementation every single day. Its roles are so fundamental, they impact every system you have. Let's break down its 4 primary jobs. First, B12 is the neurological guardian. Its most critical job is to maintain and protect your nervous system. Every nerve in your body, including your brain and spinal cord, is covered by a protective coating called the myelin sheath. Think of it this way: your nerves are like complex electrical wires. The myelin sheath is the rubber insulation around that wire. It ensures the electrical signal travels fast, clean, and to the right destination. Vitamin B12 is essential for building and maintaining that insulation. When you are deficient, that myelin sheath begins to erode. The wire becomes exposed. The signals start to short-circuit. This leads to the pins and needles, the numbness, the balance problems, the brain fog. It is a neurological breakdown, one small signal at a time. Second, B12 is the master builder. Every single time a cell in your body divides to create a new cell, it needs to replicate its DNA. Vitamin B12 is a crucial cofactor in this process of DNA synthesis. Without B12, cells cannot divide properly. This affects everything, from the lining of your gut to the cells on your tongue, which we'll discuss later. Third, B12 is the oxygen mover. You've heard of iron deficiency anemia, but B12 deficiency causes a different, specific kind of anemia called megaloblastic anemia. Here's what happens. Remember, B12 is needed for proper cell division. This includes your red blood cells, which are born in your bone marrow. Without enough B12, the production line goes haywire. Instead of producing healthy, round, efficient red blood cells, your body produces cells that are large, misshapen, and immature. These are the megaloblasts. They are big, clumsy, and fundamentally broken. They are ineffective at their one and only job, carrying oxygen from your lungs to the rest of your body. So, even if you're breathing perfectly, your muscles, your organs, and most critically, your brain, are in a state of low-level oxygen starvation. This is the root of the profound fatigue we'll cover in Sign #2. And fourth, B12 is the homocysteine neutralizer. This is the advanced science, and it's critical for everyone over 60. Homocysteine is a natural byproduct of metabolism. You can think of it as cellular exhaust. In a healthy body, B12, along with folate and B6, forms the cleanup crew. They convert this toxic homocysteine into harmless substances. But when you are deficient in B12, the cleanup crew doesn't show up. Homocysteine levels in your blood begin to rise, and high homocysteine is toxic. It's like a razor blade scraping the inside of your blood vessels, leading to inflammation, blood clots, and a dramatically increased risk for heart disease and stroke. In the brain, high homocysteine is directly linked to brain atrophy, actual brain shrinkage, and is a major risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. So, B12 isn't just about energy. It's about neurological integrity, cellular production, oxygen transport, and cardiovascular protection. So, why is this an epidemic specifically in people over 60? It is almost never about what you eat. It is all about what you absorb. For decades, you could eat a steak, some eggs, or a piece of fish, and your body would absorb B12 perfectly. But after age 50 or 60, your digestive system undergoes a fundamental shift. The intricate machinery required to unlock B12 from your food begins to break down. There are four main reasons. Reason 1. The stomach acid decline. This is the single biggest culprit. When you eat a piece of chicken, the B12 is tightly bound to the protein. To use it, your stomach must first sever that bond. The scissors it uses for this job is your powerful stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, or HCl. As we age, our stomachs naturally begin to produce less acid. This condition is called atrophic gastritis, and it's incredibly common. Without sufficient acid, the scissors are dull. The B12 stays locked to the protein, and the entire complex passes uselessly through your digestive system. You can be eating a B12-rich diet and absorbing almost none of it. Reason 2. The loss of intrinsic factor. Now, let's say you do have enough acid to unlock the B12. It's not over. Once free, B12 needs a VIP escort to carry it from the stomach into the bloodstream. This escort is a special protein called intrinsic factor. For some people, the body's own immune system mistakenly attacks and destroys the stomach cells that produce intrinsic factor. This autoimmune disease is called pernicious anemia. This is not anemia in the typical sense, it is an absorption catastrophe. You can have all the B12 in the world sitting in your stomach, but with no intrinsic factor, you have zero VIP escorts. It cannot get into your body. This condition requires non-oral B12, like injections, to bypass the broken system entirely. Reason 3. The medication sabotage. This is a critical, man-made problem. Millions of seniors are taking medications that are actively sabotaging their B12 status. The two biggest offenders. First, Metformin. This is the #1 frontline drug for type 2 diabetes. Studies have shown unequivocally that long-term metformin use blocks the absorption of B12 in the small intestine. If you are on metformin, you should be considered high risk, period. Second, acid-reducing drugs. This includes proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, like omeprazole, Prelosec, esomeprazole, Nexium, and H2 blockers like famotidine, Pepcid. People take these daily for acid reflux, or GERD. What do? They annihilate your stomach acid production. They are designed to do what atrophic gastritis does. They are reason 1 in a pill. They take away the scissors needed to unlock B12 from your food. Reason 4. Lifestyle and surgery. Finally, there are the more obvious reasons. If you follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, you are at extremely high risk, as B12 is almost exclusively found in animal products. And anyone who has had bariatric weight loss, surgery on their small intestine has physically altered or removed the very sites where B12 is absorbed. When you add it all up, the senior body is a perfect storm for B12 deficiency. And because the symptoms start slow, they are almost always mistaken for something else. Now, let's explore the 5 most common, most silent, and most misdiagnosed signs. Silent sign Hashon, neurological chaos, numbness, pins and needles, and balance issues. This is often the very first sign, and the most frightening. It starts subtly. Maybe your feet feel fuzzy, or you get that pins and needles sensation paresthesia in your hands or legs. Maybe you feel a strange vibration in your feet when you walk. Or perhaps you've become clumsy, you're more unsteady on your feet, especially in the dark. You might even find yourself bumping into walls. This is called ataxia, or a loss of balance and coordination. Why it happens? This is the myelin sheath, the wire insulation, breaking down in real time. B12 deficiency is a neurological disease. It attacks your peripheral nerves in your hands and feet first. But it also attacks your spinal cord. It can damage the posterior columns of the spinal cord, which are responsible for proprioception. That's your brain's ability to know where your body is in space without looking. When that signal is corrupted, you lose your balance. You become a high fall risk. Why it's misdiagnosed? This is the classic great masquerader. How many people over 60 are told this is just bad circulation, a pinched nerve, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy? This is a huge overlap. Many diabetics assume their tingling is from their diabetes, when it may actually be from the metformin they take to treat the diabetes. This sign is a red alert. If caught early, the nerve damage from B12 deficiency can often be reversed. But if left for too long, it can become permanent. Silent sign hashed. Profound, crushing fatigue. We are not talking about I'm a little sleepy. We are talking about a profound, systemic, soul-crushing fatigue. It's the feeling that your limbs are made of lead. It's climbing a single flight of stairs and feeling winded. It's needing to nap in the middle of the day, every day. It is a fatigue that sleep does not cure, because it is not a sleep problem. It is an oxygen problem. Why it happens? This is a direct result of megaloblastic anemia, which we discussed in Part 2. Your body is failing to produce healthy red blood cells. The clumsy cells it is producing cannot deliver oxygen efficiently. Your entire body, from your muscles to your brain, is operating in a low oxygen state. You are, in effect, slowly suffocating at a cellular level. Your body is screaming for energy, but the fatigue is just the symptom. The root cause is oxygen starvation. Why it's misdiagnosed? This is perhaps the most ignored symptom of all. It is almost always dismissed as, you're just getting older. You're not sleeping well. You're stressed. It's depression. Maybe it's your thyroid. You're just low on iron. While all of those can cause fatigue, B12 deficiency fatigue is unique in its severity and its link to the other silent signs. Silent sign #3, cognitive decline, brain fog, and pseudo-dementia. This sign is the most devastating. It starts as simple brain fog. You can't focus. You lose your keys. You struggle to find the right word in a conversation. You feel like your brain is wrapped in cotton. But as the deficiency deepens, these senior moments become more severe. Confusion, disorientation, serious memory loss. Why it happens? This is a two-pronged attack on your brain. First, the oxygen starvation from the anemia, sign #2, is hitting your brain hard. The brain is the most oxygen-hungry organ in your body, consuming 20% of your total supply. When that supply is cut, cognitive function plummets. Second, and more insidiously, are the rising levels of homocysteine from Part 2. High homocysteine is a known neurotoxin. It generates inflammation and oxidative stress that actively damages brain tissue. Studies have directly linked high homocysteine to a faster rate of brain atrophy, actual shrinkage of the brain, and a significantly higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Why it's misdiagnosed? The tragic answer is obvious. It is misdiagnosed as normal cognitive decline, stress, and the most tragic misdiagnosis of all, dementia or Alzheimer's disease. This is so common it has its own name, pseudo-dementia. It is a set of symptoms that perfectly mimic dementia but are 100% caused by a B12 deficiency. It is a medical tragedy. How many of our loved ones are currently in nursing homes, written off with an Alzheimer's diagnosis, when they might have had a simple, reversible nutrient deficiency? This fact alone should motivate everyone listening to get tested. Silent sign #4, mood disorders, depression, and anxiety. This is the emotional component. It's a new or worsening depression that seems to come from nowhere. It's a persistent feeling of apathy, hopelessness, or irritability. Or it can manifest as a new, generalized anxiety that you can't seem to shake. Why it happens? This is brain chemistry. Vitamin B12 is a critical cofactor in the methylation cycle. This is the complex process your body uses to create, well, almost everything. Specifically, B12 is essential for producing a molecule called SAM-S, adenosylmethionine. SAM is the master methyl donor in the brain. And you need it to manufacture your happiness neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. No B12 means no SAM-A. No SAM-A means your production lines for serotonin and dopamine shut down. Your brain chemically becomes unable to regulate your mood. The resulting depression is not in your head, it is a real biological imbalance. Why it's misdiagnosed? This is almost always seen as a separate psychological issue. Clinical depression, generalized anxiety disorder, empty nest syndrome, grief. A doctor may prescribe an antidepressant, but if the root cause is a B12 deficiency, the pill is just a band-aid on a biological wound. Silent sign #5. Subtle physical changes, a sore tongue and vision problems. Finally, these are two strange, subtle signs that most people would never connect to a vitamin. First, your tongue. You might experience a sore, red, or beefy tongue. It might look smooth, as if you've lost the little bumps, papillae, on the surface. This is called glossitis. Second, your vision. You may notice your vision becoming blurry or washed out. This is not just needing new glasses, it's a change in the quality of your vision. This is optic neuropathy. Why it happens, the glossitis, sore tongue, is a classic sign of B12 deficiency. Why? Because the cells on the surface of your tongue divide extremely rapidly. As we learned in Part 2, B12 is essential for DNA synthesis and cell division. When B12 is low, these rapidly dividing cells are the first to fail, causing the tongue to become inflamed, smooth, and sore. The vision problems are even more serious. This is the myelin sheath, the wire insulation being damaged on your optic nerve. The nerve that connects your eye to your brain is short-circuiting. Just like the nerves in your feet, the signal is becoming corrupted. Why it's misdiagnosed? Glossitis is often mistaken for an oral thrush, yeast infection, or an allergic reaction. Optic neuropathy is almost always blamed on cataracts or simple, aging eyes. These 5 signs, neurological chaos, crushing fatigue, cognitive decline, mood disorders, and physical changes create a devastating symphony. And now, you can see how they are all interconnected. So, if you're experiencing any of these signs, what do you do right now? Here is your action plan. Step 1. Get tested. But get the right test. Do not, I repeat, do not just start blindly taking high-dose B12. You must get a diagnosis. You must know your baseline. Go to your doctor and ask for a blood test. But this is where you must be your own advocate. The standard test is a serum B12 test. Here is the problem. It is notoriously unreliable. It measures the total amount of B12 in your blood, but it can't tell the difference between active B12 that your cells can use and inactive B12 that is just floating around. You can have a serum level that looks low normal, for example, between 200 and 400 pg/ml, and be severely deficient at a cellular level. This is the gray area where most misdiagnoses happen. You must ask for the gold standard tests. Tell your doctor, I am concerned about a B12 deficiency, and I would like to also check my MMA, methylmalonic acid, and my homocysteine levels. These are the byproduct tests. Remember how B12 cleans up cellular exhaust? Well, MMA and homocysteine are that exhaust. If your B12 is low and not doing its job, the levels of these two substances will rise in your blood. High MMA and high homocysteine are a definitive sign of a true B12 deficiency, even if your serum test looks normal. Step 2. Food. For maintenance, not correction. If your tests show you are not deficient, great. You can maintain your levels with food. The best sources are, overwhelmingly, animal products. Top of the list, organ meats, especially beef liver, clams and sardines, beef, tuna, and salmon. Dairy and eggs, though in smaller amounts. For vegans, your only options are fortified foods like cereals or nutritional yeast and supplementation. Step 3. Supplementation, the real solution for deficiency. Let me be clear. If you are a senior with absorption problems, low acid, no intrinsic factor, on metformin, you cannot eat your way out of a deficiency. It doesn't matter how much liver or how many clams you eat, the system is broken. You must bypass the digestive system. This leaves you with three options. First, pills. This is the least effective option. A standard B12 pill will just run into the same stomach acid and absorption problems. Second, sublingual, under the tongue, B12. This is a much better option. You let a lozenge dissolve under your tongue. It absorbs directly into the mucous membranes and into your bloodstream, completely bypassing the stomach. Third, B12 injections. This is the most potent and fastest solution. It is a shot, usually into the muscle, that delivers 100% of the B12 directly into your system, bypassing digestion entirely. For anyone with pernicious anemia or a severe neurological deficiency, this is the only answer. But what kind of B12? Look at the bottle. You will see cyanocobalamin. This is the cheap, synthetic, most common form. Your body must convert it into an active form, and in the process, it releases a tiny cyanide molecule, which is not as scary as it sounds, but it's not ideal. You want to look for methylcobalamin. This is the active form of B12. It is bioavailable, your body can use it immediately, and it is the form that is specifically used by your brain and nervous system. It may be slightly more expensive, but it is infinitely more effective. Section 6. Conclusion. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground. We've learned that B12 is the spark of life, guarding your nerves, building your cells, and protecting your brain. We've learned that after 60, your body becomes a red zone for deficiency due to declining acid, failing intrinsic factor, and the sabotage from common medications. And we have unmasked the great masquerader by revealing its 5 silent signs: the neurological chaos, the crushing fatigue, the terrifying brain fog, the hidden depression, and the strange changes to your tongue and vision. That fatigue you're feeling, that brain fog, that unsteadiness on your feet. It may not be a life sentence of aging. It is a silent signal. A signal you are now empowered to understand. Do not ignore it. Be your own advocate. Ask for the right tests. We want to hear from you. Please comment below which of these 5 silent signs was the most surprising to you. And if this information was valuable, please don't keep it to yourself. Think of one person in your life, a parent, a spouse, a friend over 60 who needs to hear this. Share this video. You might just change the entire course of their life. Thank you for watching.